The Unknown Reality by Jane Roberts. And this is Seth speaking now in session 700. The blueprints for reality will not be found in the exterior universe. Your scientists spend many long years in training. If the same amount of time were spent to learn a different kind of science, you could indeed discover far more about the known and unknown realities. There are some individuals embarked on the study of dreams, working in the dream laboratories, but here again there is prejudiced perception, with scientists on the outside studying the dreams of others, or emphasizing the physical changes that occur in the dream state. The trouble is that many in the sciences do not comprehend that there is an inner reality. It is not only as valid as the exterior one, but it is the origin for it. It is that world that offers you answers, solutions, and would reveal many of the blueprints that exist behind the world of your experience. The true art of dreaming is a science long forgotten by your world. Such an art pursued trains the mind in a new kind of consciousness, one that is equally at home in either existence. While grounded and secure in each, almost anyone can become satisfied and productive amateur in this art science, but its true fulfillment takes years of training, a strong sense of purpose, and a dedication, as does any true vocation. To some extent, a natural talent is a prerequisite for such a true dream art scientist. A sense of daring, exploration, independence, and spontaneity is required. Such a work is a joy. There are some people who are quite unrecognized by your societies because the particular gifts involved are given zero priority, but the talent still exists. A practitioner of this ancient art learns first of all how to become conscious in normal terms while in the sleep state. He then becomes sensitive to the different subjective alterations that occur when dreams begin, happen, and end. He familiarizes himself with the symbolism of his own dreams, and he sees how these do or do not correlate with the exterior symbols that appear in the waking life that he shares with others. I will have more to say about these shared symbols later, for they can become agreed upon signposts. There are inner meeting places, then exterior places that serve as points of inner commerce and communication. In a completely different context, they are quite as used as any city or marketplace in the physical world. This will be elaborated upon in the book, later in the book. Our dream art scientist learns to recognize such points of correlation. In a manner of speaking, they are indeed learning centers. Many people have dreams in which they are attending classes, for example, in another kind of reality. Whether or not such dreams are distorted, many of them represent a valid inner experience. All of this, however, is but a beginning for our dream art scientist, for he or she then begins to recognize the fact of involvement with many different levels and kinds of reality and activity. He must learn to isolate these, separate one from the other, and then try to understand the laws that govern them. As he does so, he learns that some of these realities nearly coincide with the physical one, that on a certain level events become physical in the future, for example, while others do not. He is then beginning to glimpse the blueprints for the world that you know. You manufacture articles. It has taken you centuries to reach your point of technological achievement. It seems to you, then, that the objects come from outside, generally speaking. For after all, you do not make them in your factories and laboratories. No, let me read that last sentence again. It seems to you, then, that objects come from outside, generally speaking. For after all, do you not make them in your factories and laboratories? In a way, it seems that artificial or synthetic fabrics are not natural. You produce these from the outside, yet your world is composed of quite natural products, objects that emerge almost miraculously, when you think of it, from the inside of the earth. You work with material that is already there, provided you mix, you change, you rearrange what is given already. The entire physical universe emerges from an inside. However, and none of your manufacture would provide you with even one object were it not for those that appeared as source materials long before. Wood, plants, till the species of the earth, the seasons, and the planet itself come from this unidentifiable inside. Physical events have the same source. The true scientist understands that he must probe the interior and not the exterior universe. He will comprehend that he cannot isolate himself from a reality of which he is necessarily a part, and that to do so presents at best a distorted picture. In quite true terms, your dreams and the trees outside your windows have a common denominator. They both spring from the withinness of consciousness. Simply as an analogy, look at it this way. Your present universe is a mass-shared dream, quite valid, a dream that represents reality in a certain light, a dream that is above all meaningful, creative, based not upon chaos, but with spontaneous order. To understand it, however, you must go to another level of consciousness, one where perhaps the dream momentarily does not seem so real. There, from another viewpoint, you can see it even more clearly, holding it like a photograph in your hands. At the same time, it even more clearly holding it like a photograph. No. Let me start the sentence again. I'm sorry. There is another viewpoint. You can see it even more clearly, holding it like a photograph in your hands. At the same time, you can see from that broader perspective that you do indeed stand outside of the dream context, but that in a within that cannot show in the snapshot because of its limitation. Let me read that sentence again. I'm not getting it. Maybe you're getting it, but let me read it again. There from another viewpoint, you can see it even more clearly, holding it like a photograph in your hands. At the same time, you can see from that broader perspective that you do indeed also stand outside of the dream context, but in a within that cannot show in the snapshot because of its limitations. This is personal material. First of all, however, this book will open up many very important areas and provide guidelines for many others to follow. And then there's some notes regarding Jane and Rob and what they're going through, and I won't read these here because they're not germane to the book, really. So that concludes session 700. Very interesting. Of course, as you know, Seth actually wrote at least one complete book about dreaming. Maybe I should look for that. Maybe we should read that. Let me see. We are on page 214 of 642. So we're about a third of the way through these 2 volumes of Unknown Reality. If you have any thoughts on this, if you'd like me to look for that dream book, I read it a long time ago, and it was really, really pithy. It really had substance and stayed with me a long, long time. So if you'd like me to read it, leave me a comment in the notes below. And till soon.